Welcome to Craftywafty! As you can see here, I've cut out the construction board, and what I like to do is when I cut out my pieces, I always just label it so I know which piece I'm working with. I cut out all the little black hinges, and I've just mitered the corners, as you can see there, and I've just stuck those on. So these are my two sides, and that's the back bit, which is going to hold the lid. And then this is the base, and as you can see, I've got all four sides on there. And what I've done as well is just sometimes when you fold the corners, sometimes you see a little bit of card. So what I do is I literally just get a Sharpie pen and I just colour in that corner a little bit, and I go down the side like so, just so that if there was any of the cardboard to show, obviously it won't notice, and we'll just put a little bit down like that. Okay, so I just wanted to show you what I did here on the corners. Right, so let's put this together. So this is my base, that is a back. So I'm going to start off with, I'm just going to put a little bit of bookbinding glue along the bottom. I just like to run a little bit along that bottom edge there, and I'm just going to line up the base construction card with the back, and I leave just a tiny little gap, and the reason I do that is that when I fold that up, that is going to sit right in there, and we're just going to fold that back down so I can just push that down like so. So I just wanted to show you that. So as you can see the bit of glue there, so let's just stick that down like so. So that should be nice and firm on the back, and then I just bring that up, and that is just going to tuck in just nicely, and that just firms that up. Okay, so that's probably going to drop a little bit, so it's always handy maybe to have a little something behind it just to keep it up while we are building the rest. So let's just grab one of my little glue pots. There we go, that can just stand there like that. Right, okay, because sometimes you just need an extra pair of hands. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to add in the sides. So let me just find my side pieces, which I've put somewhere safe. Here we are. And again, as you can see, I've just gone and done the same on each of the corners, just with a little bit of Sharpie. And this is my left one, because I just write that on there, and that's going to tuck in there, and this is the right. So what I want to do first is just stick these to the base. Let's just move that back a little bit. So I'm going to put glue on these two bits, and then I'm going to literally just line these up again like I did with the back. So let's just get that bit done like so. So I'll do it one at a time. So that's my right one. I'm just going to tuck that on there, and again leave in a little bit of a gap so that when I fold it up, it's just going to slot into that gap like so. So let's just put that there for a minute. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side like so. Now as you can see, I haven't run any glue down there just yet, because I'm going to come back to that bit in just a moment. And then we're just going to tuck that on like that, making sure that it's the same angle at the back as the front. So I've got the tallest bit to the back, and then obviously the lower point to the front. And then this is my front piece, and again, as you can see, I've just stuck on the edges as that comes up. That's going to hold these bits in place. So again, I'm just going to run a little bit of glue down the front, and I'm just going to again line that up on there with a little bit of a gap, which is just going to allow me to fold that up. Okay, right, I'm just going to let that dry just for a few seconds. Right, now I need to bring up the sides and the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a bit of glue and just put a little bit in that gap there, and I'm just going to do the same on this side. I'm just going to run a little bit of glue down the middle, a little bit of glue down either one of those, and I'm just going to literally run a little bit of glue down that top edge, but I'm just leaving this top one here because I don't want to put any glue on that. Right, so here comes the fun bit. So I'm going to lift the one side up first, hold that in position, and just fold that card round at the back. Let's move my little pen pot out of the way, we don't need that hopefully anymore. So I'm just going to hold that in place. While that is fixing, I'm just going to bring up the top bit and I'm going to wrap that bit round at the front, from the front to hold in place the side bit. I don't know if you can see, like that. Okay, so we're just going to hold that in place like so. Just put a little bit of pressure on that at the bottom. Okay, right, and now the last two flaps, let's just bend that back just a little bit so I can pull that up. And then we're just going to tuck that front one and the side one. So that basically is bringing our box together. So let's just put that, rest that on there so I can put a little bit of pressure on the bottom like so. Just making sure those edges are nice, and so I don't know if you can see that. Right, okay. So now I've done that bit, I'm just going to let that dry for a little bit. And then I'm just going to get the other bits of black card that are just going to line in the inside of my box. So now my box has had a little bit of time just to dry, just to firm it up. In order to give it a bit more strength, I'm going to put supports like I've done here on the outside, also on the inside. So I've cut, again, my strips, which are going to go, this one's going to go in the bottom, then I've got a couple coming up the sides here, and then I've got the same for the front. So let's just quickly glue these in. And these just give extra support, but it also gives a nice finish to the box once we've done that. It just hides up any, right, let's tuck that in. So where the, don't worry about that extra glue showing, that will dry, and we're going to cover that anyway. So as you can see, I've just lined that a little bit at the bottom, and again I've mitered the ends of these just so it sits in a little bit nicely and it doesn't come up too bulky. So just another little bit of glue. Let's tuck, that one's going to come in down the side and just in front like so. Okay, that's holding in nicely, and we're just going to do the same for the other one. Now if you find that some of these might be a little bit out, you can always trim these down a little bit. So, but I'd already sort of tested these, so I'm quite happy with these. So that just slides up like that. So you can see how we're gradually building that. And then again, I've got the other one for the front here, so let's do the same for that. And actually, I mean, I have put in the instructions that you know, you can cut up the card out of full sheets, but to be perfectly honest, I tend to use a lot of my scrap black card, so to make up these little support bits. So, but it's up to you really, but I've just given you a guide in the instructions just how to do that. And now we're going to come across the bottom, so glue on either side like so. So I'm just going to bring that one in across the bottom. So as you can see, we're just layering and covering up these corners, and then the last one for the base. That's it. I'll just put a little bit of glue on there, And this is really going to give some strength to the box as well, but it's also going to give it a really nice finish on the inside, because although we like to put pattern paper on the outside, we want the inside to look just as nice. And then finally these two struts are going to come up the front here, so let's just add a little bit of glue onto those as well, like so. There we are. We're just going to pop one into there, just slide that down, give that a good press in that corner, and just the next one. Okay, that's it, and we'll just slide that one in as well. Okay, right, so let's have a little look. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. They're all pushed in and all nice and firm and holding that shape. Now all I need to do is just put something along these top edges because they're looking a little bit rough and ready. So I've got here another couple of pieces that I've cut out. I think I've lost a bit there. Oh, there it is. Let me just check to make sure that they're the right ones to go on, because it all looks a little bit the same. Oh yeah, that looks fine. All right, so what I'm going to do is glue these long edges on first. Don't worry about the back bit because we'll be fixing the lid in on that in a little while. So let's just again glue these on. And whoops, it's alive, that one. But what I'm going to do with this one is that I'm actually going to stick it down over the edge like so. So you get that nice finished edge to it. I don't know if you can see that. And just hold that in place for a little bit. That's it. That just gives it a nice finish. Look at that. Fabulous. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Oh, went off there. That's it. I'm just a little bit eager to get the box done because I can't wait to get it decorated. Okay, and then we're just going to put that one on there, and then I'm going to hold that one down again for a couple of seconds just to hold that in place like so. Lovely, that's it. Okay, and then finally finish off with the one along the front. So a bit more glue going across like so. Right, let's put the lid on that. There we are, and this is the very last one, and that's just going to go in. And again, I'm just going to hold that down for a few seconds just to hold that. Let's just give it a bit of pressure like so. Okay, there we are. Lovely. Now we've done that bit, we now need to just do the lid. So the lid is actually going to attach to that back piece there, and then we're going to put a bit of card going across. But I just want to finish off these edges like we've done these ones. So I've got a couple of bits cut out here already. So again, like I've done with the other pieces, I've just put a little bit of black Sharpie in those corners just in case you get to see any of the card coming through. So we're just going to put that on there. I'm going to fold that over and just hold that down for a couple of seconds. So this will give it a nice finished edge to our lid. You can see that. It's lovely. Right, let's do the other side. So pop that on there, fold that down, hold that in place for a couple of seconds. Oops, move that lid out of the way. And again, so you've got a nice smooth edge to that. And then I'm going to put the one on the front. So let's just see which one that was. I think that one was the one I wanted on the front. Yeah, okay. And we're just going to glue this one down onto the lid. Let's just move that box back a little bit. There we go. And again, so I'm just making sure I've got those mitre corners looking lovely. This is what you're going to see on our lid. Just hold that in place just for a second or two. There we go. Right, so this is the lid. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue the lid to the back of the box, like so. And then this bit will be glued on and then glued onto the base as well. So that's going to act like the hinge. So I think what we'll do first is we'll glue this bit on, just so that makes that a little bit easier to get hold of. So I'm only going to put glue on half for the minute. So you can see, I'm going to turn that over and I'm just going to line up where the score line is to the edge of the card, like so. All right, and we'll just give that a couple of seconds to dry. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to apply glue all the way down here. And actually I'm not going to glue this bit onto the back of the card yet. I'm just going to fold this back so I've got access to this bit. So let's just put a bit of glue along that edge, just put it along there. Okay, lovely. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tip that down or fold that in so I can just line the lid and that hinge into the top of the box. Just going to hold that in place. Oops, it slipped a little bit. Let's tuck you back in there. Okay. Like so. Right, let's just have a little look to see what it looks like on the other side. That's not bad going. That lid just goes down really nicely. So let's just give that a little bit more pressure just to hold that down. That's good. All right, and now because I've got this little bit of flap here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach some glue to that, and then I'm just going to fold that over. But I'm going to do it while the lid is closed, because what I don't want it to do is to pull the lid up. Okay, so let's just push that lid just so that's going to sit nicely. Just give it a little bit of adjustment, I think, when that goes over. Okay, right. Let's add some glue. Oh, we've nearly got our main box done now. All right, okay, and then this is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to hold that in place just for a little bit, just so I can get to it, put a bit of pressure on either side, and then that, like so. I'm so impatient with this, but I just want to see what it looks like. There we are. Let's just push this down, hold that in place. Right, okay, so we have our box, and that should fold over. Might need to just crease that a little bit with our lid. Okay, I'm just going to give that time to dry now before we look at decorating it. Fab. Right, so I'm now getting ready to put a clasp on here, and I'm going to do it with a piece of card and a magnet. And the idea is to put the magnet in here, and then fold this over, and then attach this to the top, and then have a magnet. Let me just tip that box up there so you can see. Right, so that will sit on there. The magnet will be in there. There'll be another magnet underneath to draw that, and that will hold that close. So that's what my plan is to do. So that just sort of holds that lid down nicely. So what I've done is I've got a strip of card, and I've folded it in half, as you can see, and where I've sort of tested where I want the magnet to be at the front, I've sort of put a little crease just on there, so that will just sit nicely on the top of the lid. So let's open this up and let's get our magnet in. Now I've sorted out my magnets as to which way the pulling power is. So I've got a little bit of glossy accents glue. So I'm just going to, that's it, when it comes out, right, put a little bit on there. I'm just going to attach my magnet like so let's just check to make sure. Right, I want that round the other way. Always a little bit tricky trying to work out. So if I put that underneath, that's clips on the end there, so I know that I've got that right. And I'm just holding that in place there, and just to secure that just a little bit, I always just put on a little bit of tape just to hold that magnet in place, and then I know it's not going to move. So there we are. So that's in place there. Okay, now I am going to leave that other magnet on the back there for the minute, because when I come to put that on there, that's going to work out where I need to glue that, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So now that that's secure and in place, I'm just going to get my other glue, my bookbinding glue, and I'm just going to glue all of this together. So let's just do this. Come on, glue. Right, okay. Just to secure this card together, and that's also just securing that magnet in place as well. Right, okay, so let's just fold that over. Going to line those edges up, give that a good squeeze. That's it, so I can feel the magnet just in there. There's the other one that we're going to use to stick on the box at the front. And then what I want to do is I just want to give a nice little finish to these corners, because as this comes down over the box, I don't know if you can see that, it comes over the box and that sort of sits on there. I just want a couple of nice corners. So I've got my corner rounder, so I'm just going to, that's it, clip that. Oops, I got stuck a little bit. Let's give that, I'm going through double card. Let's try that again. Plus the magnet's not helping. There we go. And just on the other side. That's it. All right, so that just gives it a nice finish. Okay. All right. So now what I need to do is to work out where I'm going to stick this on my box. So I'll have my ruler out. So I know that my box lid was about 8 inches. 8 inches, so I want to come in, let's see, 1 2 3 4, there's my centerpiece at 6, so I'm going to line that up roughly in the middle, so just keeping that in mind. So I've got that lined up ready to go. Let's have a little look, that's sort of about halfway, and I'm just literally going to, with a pencil, is just draw round that top bit, so I know that that is where that's going to sit when I'm ready to stick that down. Okay, lovely. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is work out roughly where I want the magnet. So as this is coming down here, let's just tip this over. This is where this is going to sit. So if you remember, I've still left the other magnet on there. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of glue to this side. Okay, line that up with my drawing at the top, and I'm just going to push that down so I can see where the glue dot is. That is where I need to stick my magnet. So I'm just going to peel it off there, making sure that as it comes down that I've got it the right way around. That's a little bit tacky, so I can put a little bit more glue on there, and I'm just going to stick that on there like so. Okay, and again, like I did with the other magnet, the other part of the magnet, I'm just going to get a little bit of tape, and I'm just going to secure that on there like so. So now, in effect, that if I bring this forward, that should stick. Perfect. Okay, right, let's just take that off. So I know it definitely works. Right, let's stick that back on there and just leave that to dry for a little bit. Okay, so Now that that has dried on the front there, obviously when we decorate that, that's going to be covered up, and I would stick this on at the front here. But I'm just trying to sort of make a decision whether I want to make a feature of my my sort of clasp, my magnet clasp on my box or not. Now if I didn't want to make a feature of it, I would just glue that down now and put my coloured paper or card over the top that I'm going to decorate the box with, so that it covers up. Or if I want to make a feature of it, I will put this on last where it will sort of sit there. But I think for today what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it down on there, and then I'm going to cover that card in. So let's just get a little bit more bookbinding glue. I'm just going to put it on this bit because obviously I don't want to put it on the flap bit of the clasp. Okay, and then where I drew out round that gives me somewhere to line that up against. And there we go. We're just going to hold that in place and let that dry. And there we are. We have our clasp for our memory box. Lovely. Right, so as you can see here, I've just laid out everything ready to make my pen holder. That is going to go on the side of my memory box. So I'm just going to glue these together. Now, as you can see, I've just put in on the corners again, like I did for the main box, just in case to stop any potential cards showing through. So I'm just going to stick that on there and just hold that in place like so, and then I'm just going to put the other one. Now, as you can see, I've only mitered one corner because I want a nice straight top on the other, so, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So we're just going to put that on there like so, and glue the flaps down. This is like how we did for the base, if you remember. So just sort of putting that on there, and then I'm just going to do the bit at the bottom as well. So we're just sort of sticking that on there, just making sure that's all nicely lined up. That's it, give it a good press. Wonderful. Okay, so that's on the outside, and then what I'm going to do is I'm now going to stick the side bits on so that they'll bring up, and that will create the shape. So again, let's just put a little bit of glue on that side. And I'm just going to put that on there, leaving just a little bit of gap and making sure that I'm lining up the card at the top and the bottom, like so. And then again on the other side, like so. And just pop that in on there. Lovely. Okay, and then the last bit at the bottom. So you should end up with it looking like this. Okay, all right, so that's what we've got on there. And then what I'm going to do is just bring up each one of these and just tuck that down into that gap, so that's nice and firm. And we're going to right, so now we've done the magnet. I've already made up the little pen holder, which I just wanted to show you because this is what we're going to make for the other side for the pad. And then basically this will be glued onto the side like so for the pens to be held in, and then we're going to do one to go the other side, which is the pad. So I just wanted to show you the pad. So I've cut out everything as per my instructions, and again what I've done is I've just gone over and just done a little bit of Sharpie on either end, just in case any of the cardboard shows through. So I've got my good old bookbinding glue, so I'm literally just like we did for the base and when we were putting the box together, I'm just going to put a bit of glue, leaving just a little bit of a gap where the score line is for the next part to sit in. And what I've done is is that on the bits that are going up the side, I've just mitered one bottom part of, well, I've just mitered the bottom half of the black strip and left the top bit straight, and I'll explain that in a minute as to why I've done that. So we're literally just going to put a bit more glue and just put that in there again, just lining that at the top like so, leaving a little bit of gap where the score line is, and then we're going to do the same for the base as well. So just a little bit of glue, whoops, up we go, there's a little bit of glue there, and I'm just going to stick that on like so and just line that up, okay, like that, okay. All right, and then I'm just going to let that dry just for a minute. All right, so now what we're going to do is add the actual side bits to the little pad box or holder. Let's put a bit of glue coming down on there, and again just leaving that little bit of a gap there, just so that we can fold that in. I'm going to do the same on the other side, like so. There we are. Let's just put that on like that. That's just holding that in place, lovely. And then the bit at the bottom. Like so. I'm just lining that. I'll get my head out the way. There we are, so you can see what I'm doing. All right, there we go. And I'm just lining that up like so. And then what we're going to do is it's going to put some glue down the middle like we did before, bend these round, and then I've got these bits that are going to come in on the inside just to hold that in position. All right, so let's just do that. So a bit of glue down on that one, bit of glue on the back. Now you may find that depending on how you've cut your card, that you might need to trim just a little bit off of this, because what we don't want is for it to come up over the top of your edge of your box. So I have just pre-trimmed mine down just a little bit, but I'm just making sure that that flat edge is like so. So I don't know if you can see that. So it's not coming right up to the top, and that's perfectly fine because I don't want it overlapping this bit, because this is the bit that we're going to glue to the main box. All right, and I've done exactly the same on this one as well. And again, I've only mitered one part of the strip because I want the nice flat edge to come up to the top, so that sits in line with everything else. Just going to hold that in place like so. And then finally the bottom bit, I might just put a little bit of glue in there, and again I've just trimmed down one of the sides just so that I know it won't overlap. Okay, so let's just put that in. Now I'm just going to hold that in place and put that up top like that. Okay, all right. Okay, so what we're going to do is just leave that to dry for a couple of seconds. Now that's had a chance just to dry just a little bit, I've got another little strip here which I've just mitered the corners on either end. This is what's going to go over the top, so it gives a nice smooth edge into the entrance of my box. And this is why I wanted the flat pieces cut and the card cut straight at the top, so that that just gave that a nice finish on either side of those as well. So let's just glue this in place. Just a little bit of glue. So I'm just going to pop that on the top like we did for the top of the boxes, if you remember. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that in place so that gives that a nice smooth finish. Hold that in place. Wonderful. Okay, now you're probably thinking, oh, but the corners don't look that good. So I've cut another strip of card, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the card so that the edge of this card is right against the edge of the box, so that it goes all the way around. So let's just, so it's probably easier to put the glue actually on the strip. So let's do that. I've sort of gone round it already and pre-bent it, but I do know that part of it I'm going to have to trim off anyway, but let's just see how we get on, because I didn't want to trim it just beforehand. So I'm just going to line that up to the edge, line that up to the edge, hold that in position, so we get a nice neat finish like so. And then I'm going to bend it round that corner, making sure that corner's nice and tight, and just hold that glue in place as it goes round. And then, so as you can see, that's giving me a nice corner on there. And then I'm just going to come round to the next bit and just line that in so you can't see any of the card. And as you can see, I've got some overhang on there which I'm going to trim off in just a minute, but I just want to go around and double check. Let's move just a little bit, let's just make sure, because what I don't want is any of the card colour showing underneath. So we can move this about a little bit like so, and then I'm literally just going to fold that back and I'm just going to trim that bit off nice and straight. There we go, like so. All right, so that's done a nice edge on our corners, and it just gives that a nice finish to it. Lovely. And then what I like to do is make sure that the inside of my box looks nice and black, so like I've got here with this one. So what I'm going to do is I can see I've got a little bit of card showing there, so I will literally just run my Sharpie pen down just to sort of fill in that gap like so. It's just so that when you look into it, I mean, you're probably not going to see much, to be fair, but it's just me being a bit of a perfectionist. And then I can just go around like that. So as you look into the box, it all looks black, if you get what I mean. Okay, and we'll just colour in that bit like that. And then what I've done is I've cut out a little bit of black card that I'm just going to glue in there just to sort of finish that off, because we just want it to look all nice and neat and tidy. Right, okay. All right, and we're just going to pop that in there and let that dry. There we go. And now we've got the other side. So we've got our pad side and we've got our pen side. Fabulous. Now it's time to decorate the inside of the box. I've gone with black card because I just think it looks a little bit more classy. As you can see, what we did earlier was obviously we had all our edgings that were sort of holding all our pieces together. So now I've just cut, as per instructions, the card ready to be stuck in on the panels. So I've just got my lovely bookbinding glue. So let's just stick the side bits on first. Let's just move those out of the way. But I mean, you don't have to decorate it with black card. I mean, if you wanted to, you could paint the inside with gesso or any other colour, or you could put in patterned paper if you wanted to. But I just wanted to have black card just so it gives it that nice, neat finish. So that's one side stuck in already, just to make sure that I put the glue on the right side for the other side of the box, because of the way that the top has been cut. So I'm just going to slide that in there as well and just hold that down in position and line that up. So as you can see already, it's beginning to sort of take shape. I always write just in pencil the where the pieces are going. So this is for the back. So let's do this big back one. Get plenty of glue around. That's it. There we go. I'm just going to slide that in now, and that will just hold that in place and just position that so that sits nicely. And already it's looking really, really lovely. I do like black card. I do get through quite a bit of it as well. Right, now I'm going to, let's do the front bit. So again, just put some glue like so. And this bookbinding glue works well for this. Okay, just going to slide that in. Just going to hold that down in situ. That's it. Let's just give it a press down. Okay, and now I'm just going to put the base. Okay, so now we've got our box together, we've done our sides, so I just wanted to line the inside of my box. So as you can see, I've already cut out my black card and I've just sort of stuck that in, and I've just followed the measurements in the instructions. So I thought I'll just quickly show you the lid bit now. So let's just do okay, so now we've got our box together, we've done our sides, so I just wanted to line the inside of my box. So as you can see, I've already cut out my black card and I've just sort of stuck that in, and I've just followed the measurements in the instructions. So I thought I'll just quickly show you the lid bit now. So let's just do so now we've obviously finished off the side pockets, and what I've done inside now is I've just gone ahead and as you can see, I've just lined the inside of the box with black card. I think it looks really nice and smart. It just gives it a nice finish. But if you don't want to line it with black card, you can always paint the inside of the box, or you could actually put it in pattern paper. It's really up to you. And I'm just going to do the inside of the lid. So let me just quickly show you what I did there. So literally just put a bit of glue. That's it, all the way around on there. So give that a little dot, dot, dot. Okay, and I'm just going to line that in there. And as you'll see on the instructions, the measurements, whoops, are just come in by about 1/4 of an inch all the way round, just so you get that nice finish to it, and so that it's not right at the edge. Yep, this box is alive. Okay, so that's the inside of our box all lined, and now all we've got to do is decorate the outside. Okay, so I've got my little side pad bits here, and what I've done is, let's just move that to the back there for a minute, and what you can see is that I've selected some nice card that I want to decorate, and I've just distress inked round the edge in the black, so that when it sits on there it looks really nice and you don't get the white of the card showing. And I've just done a little bit of faux stitching all the way around, so I'm going to just stick those on first. So let's just quickly do that. This is the fun bit, is when you've sort of taken all the time to do the decorating, you know, to constructing the box rather. Sorry, I can't get my words out now. And here we are, and we're just sort of going to put that on there. So that's just going to dry, and again I've just come in about 1/4 of an inch all the way around the actual size of the little pocket, so that it just gives that nice black finish. And we're just going to do the same on this one. Here we go. All right, I'm just going to put this on the pad like so. Okay, I'll just line that up with a nice sort of 1/4 of an inch around the edge. So that's what I've got so far. So these, as I mentioned earlier, will sort of sit on the side of each of the box here. Now what I wanted to say is that before these get stuck on, obviously we're going to have to decorate the sides of the box, because once we put that on we need to make sure that these will sit on there. If you wanted to put on here like pens or pad or something like that, or what you can do is this pad pocket size, I've actually made to the size that you can actually, if you wanted to, stick a sticky pad on it. If you wanted something to go on the front like that, so when it's on your box, if you want to, you can sort of pull off the pad pad sheets as you go, but that's up to you. Or, you know, you can sort of tuck your pad inside the box. Whatever is your choice, it's totally up to you. But I'm not going to put one on the outside. I'm just going to put some cards and stuff on the inside for my box. And let's just pop those to one side, and I'll just bring in all the other pieces of card. Let's move that lid over that side, actually, there we go. Just to sort of decorate the box. And again, as you can see on all the pieces, I've gone round with the Distress ink in black soot, and I've just sort of faux stitched around that, so it just gives it a nice little finish. And then the whole idea now is to actually decorate the box, and I've chosen a nice choice of coloured papers that sort of complement each other and sort of just pick up some of the colour. So this is the back, so let's just turn that over. I'm just going to sort of just check that for measurements, and that looks like that's going to be just fine. So again, I'm just going to put this on. Let's put a little bit down that edge in the corners. We want to make sure we've got plenty in the corners, because this being on the outside of the box, we don't want any of those corners lifting. Okay, and I'm just going to pop that on there. All right, so now the back is stuck on nice and firm. Let's turn around and have a look. Let's do one of the sides next. Oh, excuse me. Right, okay, so I know that that's going to fit on there just nicely. So a little bit of my book binding glue again. Let's just put this on. Like so, and we're just going to attach that and just make that nice finish in the box like so. Alright, so that's okay. Then I'm going to turn around and do the other side. So when you think about all your hard work that you've been doing, building your box, and now we're getting to the end bit. And oops, I'll add the glue there a little bit. Alright, let's line that up. So you get that nice black trim going round the edge of the paper. That's looking good. Okay. Wonderful. Right, now let's just do the front. Now the front, I've got the same paper as the sides, and we're now going to be covering over that magnet that we put on earlier. So that's all. So that will finish that off nicely. Okay, so a little bit of glue. Let's pop that on there. Now this paper isn't directional, so it doesn't matter which way I glue it on. Let's just check that. Okay, put that down, and that's going on there, and we'll just give the magnet a, oh look at that, it still works, so that's good. And now the lid, and this is the last little bit that we're putting on here is the lid. Okay, here we go, just a little bit of glue on there, and that's now going to cover up that tab bit that we weren't going to have as a feature on this one. Okay, right, so I'm just going to let that all dry for a little bit, and then we'll look at putting the pockets on. Right, the other thing that we haven't done yet is put anything on our base, so let's just have a little look at our base. And again, what I've done this time, I've just cut out some black card, which I'm just going to put on our base, just so that matches in nicely. But it's up to you. If you wanted to put coloured card on the bottom, you can do. Totally up to you. Right, let's have a little wiggle of the glue. I'll just move that on, and we'll just line that up, so that just gives it a nice finish to the base of your box, and that black just blends in just nicely with those edges. Lovely. Okay, fan-dabby-dozy. Right, so with your pockets now, it's really up to you where you want to stick them on the sides of your box. So for example, if you wanted, you could have it so it comes flush with the bottom if you wanted, or you could bring it up just a little bit if you like, so sort of line it in with those, with the faux stitching as it's going round on that one if you wanted to, and the same on the other side if that's what you want to do, if you want to sort of either go right to the base or you want to bring it up a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let them come up a little bit. So what I think I'll do is I'll stick on the bigger one first, which is the pad one, and I'm just going to have a look to see how far I want to come up, because bearing in mind I don't want it to affect the lid. But if I just sort of come in about another 1/4 of an inch of where that faux stitch line is and the paper, the edge of the paper is, so that's roughly about 1/4 of an inch from where the paper is. So I think I'm going to use that as a guide. And then what I'm going to do is with my bookbinding glue, which is a really strong wet glue, I'm just going to put glue all round the edge, into the corners, and we're just going to stick this on. And then we'll need to leave this for a little bit to dry before we go around and do the other side. So here we go. So I'm just going to put that in so it's about 1/4 of an inch from that paper. And let's just have a look at the side just to see how that looks. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to hold that steady for a few seconds just to give the glue a chance to bond with the paper on the side of the box. I'm just going to let that dry for a minute. Right, so this side is now nice and firm, so that's not going anywhere, and I'm just going to do exactly the same as I did on the other side. So let's just put some glue along the edge here, all the way along, just so this will stick to the box. Come back here, glue. That's it. There we go. All right, I'm just going to stick that on the edge like so, and again I'm just coming down and I'm going to center that about 1/4 of an inch from that paper edge. And I'm just going to have a little look to see if that's central to where I want to hold it, and then I'm just going to hold that in place for a few seconds to let that glue dry. Let's have a little look. That looks fairly straight. Fantastic. It's coming along a treat now. I'm really quite excited actually. I can't wait to sort of have a go. Just sort of using my box really. Let's get crafty wafty!